Welcome back to the Namra podcast. I'm Taylor Cacciola, here today with my two business partners, Russ Mangson and Sahil Patel. And this is Namra podcast, so check it out. All right, so what's going on, boys? How's everything going? Been
Good.
A while since we did one with all three of us.
Yeah. Broke out the whiskey. It's time to get the episodes going again.
Yeah.
We fell off for a few months with lots of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good to be back. And there's a lot of things going on. We're working with some new clients. We're working on some fun projects. But overall, we're just very busy. And we're learning a lot. Putting some processes in place, getting better as a company, as a unit, I would say.
Yeah.
Which is great. And hopefully that leads to us being able to bring the listeners some more value as our experience grows. So what's been new? Like any case studies that are worth going over? Any like new fun projects?
I think probably the first thing that I wanted to mention was the fact that we relaunched ourselves as if we're our own client. So we took ourselves through the entire process that we take our clients through. And I think that was a good idea because it gave us an idea of okay, what does it actually feel like to go through our entire process, go through the launch day, go through the pre-productions, actually treat ourselves as our own client so that we can look at our own processes and systems a little bit more critically and come to it with a new point of view, I guess. And I think it's been good so far. So that was one thing I think we did. What did you guys think about that entire process?
A long time coming for us.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's for ever since we started, we've known that's something that we wanted to strengthen for ourselves. But we were never.
Yeah.
We always said we're just not at the point where we should hire ourselves yet. And now we sort of are. We're at the point where it makes sense for us to really commit to marketing because we're confident in the messaging that we can put out. We're confident in the services that we offer. It's time. So yeah, learned a lot, treating ourselves as a client from both sides, about ourselves, because you do need to spend committed time thinking about marketing from that marketing perspective outside of the business looking in order to really figure out who you are and who our target audience is. And we had some really productive conversations just talking about who actually is our ideal customer, who's the person that we want to tailor our messaging towards. And that's something that, we work through with clients, but we've never done it for ourselves.
Yeah, I think the whole process was cool because, when designing the launch day onboarding process, we were always well, what's going to be the most effective? What's most efficient? It was very client-oriented. So just to put ourselves in their shoes almost, just to see what we can improve on, how it feels like, are we missing anything? It was great.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty smooth. I don't feel like we were missing much, not to toot our own horn, but it's a process that's gotten dialed in every few months for the last 7 years. We've always made the launch process better, and it's a huge part of how we start our relationship with our clients. So
I think we did it at the perfect time too, because when we began and up till now, there's been so many improvements, changes, new updates coming out. And also it was good to see that, if we were missing anything or if we could improve on anything, it was just the best time to do it.
Yeah, I think that it was something that's beneficial on both fronts. And now we're able to be more consistent. We'll be more consistent with the marketing and the messaging going forward. And I think that's something that, everyone can benefit from, right?
Yep. I would say to anybody who's listening, reach out, ask us questions. That's what we're here for. That's a big part of what we talked about in our own launch day for our own marketing, was that we want to be even more of a resource than we already are for information, news on social media or digital marketing in general. So if there's anything you're curious about, even if it's not social media, if it's just sort of marketing guidance in general, reach out, ask us questions. That's going to spark us creating content just for you. So we want to have an open dialogue with anyone who's listening, anyone who's following, our partners locally or not locally. We want to produce content that's actually going to help you learn how to be a better marketer. So keep us in the loop.
Definitely.
I have a totally random shout out. Today was World Smile Day. And so I got contacted by Sarah from Between the Lines Copy, my friend at the Wachusett Chamber, and Allie Moore of Moore Mortgage out in Holden. and we walked around all day with smiley face balloons up and down the streets of Holden. Perfect. And gave out smiley face stickers, smiley face cookies, gave out a bunch of balloons, and that was a fun way to start today. So I had to give a shout out because I have the sticker on. So.
Did you randomly just pick, different spots to just walk into?
Kind of. They had a little bit of a list outlined. My job was to be the cell phone videographer, of course. Gotcha. So they reached out to me so we could get a reel going.
How were people's reactions? Just
lots of smiles. Face? Yeah, it was actually
that's good.
More heartwarming than I thought it would be because everybody was in their office, and obviously Thursday morning or Friday morning, just everyone's tired. It was 10 a.m. and we walked in with all these balloons. They're like, "What is going on? Who are you? And why are you doing this?" And it was fun. A lot of people were like, "Wow, I actually needed a smile today." So it was a heartwarming sort of morning.
Very cool.
Little tangent, but I had to get that out of the way in the beginning of the episode before I forgot.
And you got a smiley face sticker yourself.
Yes.
So,
yep.
Great day.
Productive day.
So one of the things that we did when we relaunched ourselves as a client, we were going through the marketing. We wanted to make sure that we had our core brand, fundamental values for the company as a whole down. So we did that and kind of who we are. When you get asked the question, what is your company? What do you do? Really understanding and knowing what that means and what you guys do. And that trickles down to all of your clients, your employees, everything like that. So should we go through some of those and just talk about them?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have
Yeah, I got them up. So basically, we wanted to come up with 5 core values in words. So 5 words: transparency, accountability, industry leadership, solution-centric, and prosper together. So just alone, they might not mean much, but when you actually understand the meanings behind them, I think it really resonates and really covers everything that the 3 of us wanted as a organization from day one. And I think it's stuff that we have done we've embodied these, but we never just put it on paper.
Yep.
So, first, transparency is all about being open, honest, even when there are those hard conversations, and, forthright with everyone that we come encounter with. So that means our employees to clients, us to our employees and clients, just across the board. I think transparency is huge. I don't know if anything you guys want to add on that.
Well, it's one of the things that I love. Just being honest means you never really have to remember anything, right?
Tell the truth.
That's so true.
It's so so I can always fall back to if somebody says, "Oh, we didn't talk about that," I'm like, "I know we did."
Yeah.
Yep. Or just general advice. It's no, I know what I would have said about that. We're very confident in our positions on things and very transparent upfront, prior to working with clients. I think that's huge. Setting expectations, talking about all the deliverables up front. We know, based off of all of our experience, getting the business started, that was a big a lacking quality that a lot of marketing companies had, circa 2010-ish.
People didn't know what the hell was going on.
There was just no transparency. It was all smoke and mirrors. Lots of insecurity surrounding hiring a marketing company, and that's something that we're trying to put a stop to over time, where it's no, you shouldn't be afraid to hire somebody. They should be transparent with you and actually tell you what they're doing and what it's going to fix. And
it's anti-buzzwords. We want that to be speak in plain language and understand and have a mastery of everything, but also don't be insecure that you can't just talk in normal language. I feel a lot of times marketers and people in our field feel as though they need to speak above a client or speak above the general population to come off as if they know what they're talking about. And in reality, it's you could have just said that.
Kind of the opposite.
If you're not explaining something that a 10-year-old could understand, then you're probably bullshitting a little.
No, that's what they say, right? You're a true expert when you can explain it to a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think we're good at it.
Yeah, because we are them. That's great. So the next one was accountability. We hold ourselves accountable to deliver to clients, and the internal expectations that we all set. Rule of thumb is extreme accountability and extreme ownership over everything,
So
personally, professionally.
Do it.
Yep, absolutely. And kind of it's corny as hell, but when one finger's pointing out there, 3 more pointing right back at you. It's take responsibility, even when it's hard, even when you think you're doing the right thing. Try to look at it the other way and say okay, how could I have fixed this? And when something bad does happen, have that transparent, open conversation, and then figure out how you could in the future make it better. So I think that was a big one. Next one, industry leadership, setting the standards. mastering the rules so you can break the rules, right? Through in-depth knowledge, forward thinking, and being like proactive, being ahead of the trend so that like our clients and people don't have to worry about it. Like we want people to come to this podcast when something happens or when they're trying to learn and be able to trust us and rely on us to give them the, information that they actually need. Mm-hmm. So you can always read an article, but a lot of times you're not really sure what articles to trust or what is bullshit and what's truth. And hopefully that they can come here and ask us and rely on us to be like that source of like, we gather all the facts and this is really what you need to know. And we want to be setting the trends moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Like being able, like, because we know what we're looking for, we're able to filter through all the fluff in those articles. That's something that not a lot, like, kind of goes back to like analytics. Like you get analysis paralysis, and like we know how not to because we know how to keep things focused. And so.
I just like how all of these core values also gel well with each other. It's not just like, they're separate on their own. For example, industry leadership, just being proactive allows you to be more transparent. Mm-hmm. It allows you to be more forthright, direct with clients because you don't have to make stuff up. You've just, you've kept in touch with the market, what's out there, the latest updates. So you can more effectively consult on best practices, and you kind of know the direction that you want to take certain strategies. So they pair, so well with each other. So, that's another cool part.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And so number 4 was, I think goes right with what you were just saying, solution centric. Mm-hmm. So basically we wanted to combine a few things with that, and I think it hits it. It's positive, maintaining upbeat attitudes when dealing with roadblocks and obstacles, and that's how you overcome them. Like it's, oh shit, this happened today, what the fuck? It's like, instead of that, it's, okay, this happened today, let's now fix that. Yeah. There's no reason to be negative about it. So having a solution centric organization and outlook on everything, whether it's an annoying email or a bad result on something, being solution centric at all times. You have to be upbeat, you have to be positive, you have to be optimistic, you have to be a solution maker to be solution centric. And I think that really we did a good job encompassing multiple things with that one term, solution centric.
That's huge. And that obviously is external with clients and internal within our own organization.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what we want this to be, like something that our employees, our team, the Namra team as a whole can, like, they know that's the expectation now. Yeah. And our clients, we want them to know that too. Yeah. And the last one I think really kind of brings everything home is prosper together. So building lifelong partnerships for the team, employees, wanting the best for everyone as a collective unit. Mutually prosperous relationship, want the best for our clients, employees, and ourselves. Like, we want Namra to grow, we want everyone to grow, and I think we did a good job of making that kind of like basically making sure that all of the incentives are in line. And I think everyone wants the same exact thing, and I think all 5 of these paired together like does that. We actually are a positive force for good overall, adding value to everyone's lives. Not just another marketing company, because there are a lot of those, but I think we're doing something that's actually like meaningful and can be like good,
something we can be proud of.
For sure.
I agree.
Any other thoughts on those?
I just feel like it's a process that every company should go through. Core values is usually a topic that's very mental and verbal. Everyone has their own ideas of their vision that they're aiming towards. Like when I think of our company, I think of, this factor, this factor, this factor, but it's all mental, right? When we went through this process and we outlined, hey, what do we each think, like the core values are, we all had some similarities. We found some that were like common pieces, and we took those common pieces and those became the official core values. But it was cool to see, like, okay, what can we pair together? What are some new things that we didn't think about, but it actually makes a lot of sense? I think everyone should go through the process where write it down, and then commit to it. Put it up on your wall, do whatever it is that you want. But once you actually have them officially written down, stick to it. It makes a lot of difference.
Never make any
it's great to revert back to. If something happens, you can always revert back to, at least we feel like these ones that we've outlined, like it provides a foundation to at least fall back on and at least know what the next move should be.
Yeah.
Setting expectations is huge. It's like, did you do this? Does that fall in line with our core values or not? It's sort of more cut and dry now. And it's a big part of your brand too, which is why it's so important that every business does this, because like every social media post should fall, you know, to some extent within those core values. And if you start to skew, same reason we do brand guides for clients, it's like a North Star, it's like a Bible, so to speak, for your brand. So you don't waver from that. You try to keep everything in line with those values.
Yeah, I think, and when we were going through this and we were starting the process, I think one of the big reasons that I love it, like, it's like, again, an accountability tool. So instead of like coming to someone and saying like, Russ, you messed up, you can, instead of saying it happens, but instead of saying that, it's like, boom, were we being accountable? Were we like emphasizing this? Were we like, you can go point right to one thing and be like, you messed up because you weren't falling in line with those core goals. And
then it's solution oriented.
Correct.
It's not feel bad.
It's not, hey,
okay.
just you
like,
messed
this
up.
happened. We're going to be totally objective, not emotional about it. Just how do we proceed, move forward, make the necessary changes so it doesn't happen again and grow from it. You know?
It almost teaches like the thumb rule, you know, instead of the pointing rule, it's a thumb rule. Like, how can we look, you know, internally? Like, what could I have done better in this situation? Maybe it wouldn't have arisen. So it teaches you that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think kind of with those 5 core values, we had like came up with basically the mission statement of like who we are. And that was our mission, our goal is to remove all headaches associated with social media, digital marketing for people. So that's kind of like what all 5 of those track towards. Remove all headaches associated with social media marketing. And I think at the end of the day, that is the best thing we could have had as a mission, because everything tracks back to that. It's like, okay, well, you know, maybe we forgot to follow up on something. It's like, okay, well, you can say that's our fault or their fault or whatever, but it's like, wait, were we doing a good job trying to remove all headaches associated with their digital marketing needs? If not, then we have to be accountable, you know? So I think it's a really good high bar and expectation to set for ourselves. And I think that was a worthwhile thing that we did.
100%.
And I mean, hey, if you haven't taken the time to build out your core values, it could even serve as a content mix.
That's it. Yeah.
Right. So if you're struggling for ideas, how can you,
I
can
mean,
you
that's
leverage
5
them into
videos.
content? That's it.
Russ, you have a slide that I still don't know. You and Sahil were talking about. What do you have for us today?
Yeah. So let me first explain like how this sort of came to be. Like for the last, honestly, like year 2, like it's just always on my mind. Like, how do I explain the patience factor to people? Because we work with lots of different businesses and they're all at a different point in their marketing and they all have different goals. But at the end of the day, they want social media to work faster. That's a pretty common theme across the board. It's like, come on, like leads. We want to grow. We want to be 1 million followers. We want to get there faster. And a lot of people think like, well, we turned it on. Like, how come Facebook isn't working? Like,
unfortunately, a lot of times, you have people coming to us when they need more business. But in reality, you have to start your marketing before like you really need the business.
Way before.
Yeah, correct.
And so like the quote, like, why isn't it working or not working yet? Or like, you know, how long is it going to take? Yeah, like I've turned on Google ads. Like, where is the business? And it's like that, like those sentences should never be said. It's not a like, does it work, doesn't it work sort of thing. It works. Like Facebook works.
$1 billion company.
Instagram works. Like there's millions of influencers with millions of followers. So it works. The question is how, and how do you get there? And is there a roadmap? And that's where this came about, because I'm putting together a class for a local chamber, and all of the slides that I was creating kind of came back to like, I might be able to just keep this curve up on the on the slideshow for like the whole time and just explain it. It basically breaks down, and we'll put the graphic on the screen, but it breaks down like what you should expect if you're doing everything right on social media. Like you start from 0, everybody starts at 0, and you start making some videos. Those videos get better and better and better. You continue to improve, you continue to reinvest, you do everything right on social media. This is what that growth curve realistically is probably going to look like for 99% of users. Like, again, if you do everything right, this is what it looks like. And a lot of people want to go from this bottom left corner to this top right corner in like 6 months because again, they turned on the Facebook machine. So like, why isn't it working? And it's not that simple. Everyone starts way in this bottom left-hand corner.
Everyone starts at zero.
Everybody starts at zero, and it takes a long time to get to 1,000. Sometimes like years. It depends on who you are, depends on what kind of business you own, depends on how heavily you're networking, connecting with real people in your area, and like
depends how hard you're trying.
Yeah, it depends on a multitude of different factors, and there's ways to speed this curve up. But basically, just to map it all out, like you want to put an X on where you actually are. So any business owner out there, let's figure out where you are, and I'm willing to wager 99% of people are somewhere in these red sections here, somewhere between like 0 to 5,000 followers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. We're not talking specific platforms here. We're just talking general. And I think just an appreciation for this curve is necessary because it might take you like let's pretend this is 10 years, which is honestly pretty realistic for some influencers. Like, you might blow up in 3 or 4 years if you're like a really hot commodity in some sort of industry and you end up like,
but just like look at
collaborating.
Look at the big ones. Look at how Mr. Beast, he even talks about it. It's like how many videos did he put out with 100, 200, 300 views until it really hit.
Yep.
Right.
And so just an appreciation for this and where you're at is like unbelievably important for like the expectations you're setting for yourself mentally when you start marketing. Whether you hire a company like us or you're doing it on your own, you have to have an appreciation for what this curve looks like and what it means, and like set your budget and your plan according to where you're at. Like your goal should not be to go from 500 followers to 1 million followers. Your goal this year needs to be to go from like 500 to 750 to 1,000 to 1,250. Like inch your way up. Like fight for those first like 2,500 followers, 5,000 followers. That's where like the bulk of the battle is. And like we can take an account from 5,000 to 10,000 followers and I don't know, like 6 months, a year with the right advertising budget. It's way easier to go from 5,000 to 10,000 or from 50,000 to 250,000 than it is to go from 0 to 5,000. Like that is the hard part. And that's where a lot of people get stuck and give up. Yeah. So that's my big speech is like, just audit where you're at, set expectations and your budget accordingly. Like you can't just burn out. And we've talked about this a little bit before. You can't burn out in 6 months, your budget, all your resources, and then be like, Facebook doesn't work. It's like, well, did you go from 1,000 followers to 1,500 followers this year? Like then it works. Yeah. It's just now you went from here to here and you've got like maybe a couple more years before you're at 5,000 and 10,000, but don't give up is like sort of the thesis.
Yeah. It's harder than it looks.
Yeah. It's harder than it looks. It requires a lot of effort. And there's lots of ways that you can like get a bump and like speed up this curve. Like you can cut this down from 10 years to 5. If you are some sort of like highly influential person in your industry, you end up going on a podcast.
But at the end of the day, it all comes into like, you need more output. Like if you want to get there faster, you have to do it. You have to do something different. Like you have to do something that takes a lot of time, effort, money, whatever it is. You have to really invest if you want to cut that learning curve. There's no free way to do it. There's no cheat code to doing it. You have to pay one way or the other with sweat equity, time, energy, get really, really creative, or you have to put in money and time and, budget.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. And I also put parentheses influence next to followers because they sort of go hand in hand, and that's why it becomes exponential. Because when you're stuck at like 0 to 1,000 followers, or maybe you have like 2,100 followers, something random, you don't have that much influence. Like you're not really seen as like the big expert yet. But once you are, you're able to grow a lot faster. So it becomes exponential for that reason. Like as you gain followers, you're also gaining influence. Now people want to come on your show, but you had to go on like 500 shows in order to like get enough of a following where your show is like, for us, like we're not expecting the Namra podcast to explode, but we do plan on putting in the work to produce like 300 episodes over the next 5 years, we'll see where we end up.
But and also, like, to use ourselves as a case study, like on our launch day, at no point were we talking about, and this is what I always tell people about, we don't really worry about the numbers. Like, I don't care how many people listen to this podcast. What I'm worried about is, have I been consistent about it? And am I doing everything in my power to give as much value to my audience as possible? Because I know the numbers are going to come. So it's like, you could do this graph a million different ways, and one of them could be like, how much value are you giving? And that's how much attention you're going to be getting. You know, it's like, if you're out there for 10 years giving no value, that number is going to stay the same. Yeah, so it's like, you have to still foundationally, like, provide value to get that attention, and then that stuff can happen. You know, but you have 100%. To do it long term and be consistent, and the numbers will come.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to reiterate, like, this curve is when you're crushing it, what to expect. Like, you are reinvesting, you're doing everything right, you're still gonna have this slow period of grinding. And there's ways to bump it up, right? Like I said, you might guest on a podcast, you might get bumped up, you know, a couple thousand followers because of, you know, whatever.
But that doesn't happen because
but then you're right back on that same track.
Get yourself out there and do the work. Yeah, exactly. You have to put yourself out there. You have to actually make an effort to grow that following, cross promote, do all those things so that that can come true for sure.
And that is a real possibility. Like, we've had that happen in this room. We've had clients come in, they brought a guest on to their podcast, produced here, and then that guest has gotten picked up by huge accounts. ESPN.
That happened.
Recently had a client, an interior designer who's married to a builder. The great, like, two-sided company, obvious referral partners for each other. Like, they just have a ton of synergy. And we made videos for them for 3-4 months. It was getting to the point where they're like, all right, like, do videos work? And in my head, it's like, well, you've made 12, right? So, like, patience. But lo and behold, like, we got a great success story because, like, whatever it was, the 15th, 17th, 21st video we posted got picked up by this show. And I might have them in, so I'm going to, like, tease this for a little bit because I kind of want to talk to them about this on the podcast. But they got picked up by a show that has, like, 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's a show on NBC. We have, like, I mean, can't really picture a better success story for, like, an interior designer than to, like, be on one of those renovation shows. You're the expert interior designer. Her husband's doing the renovation. And they're doing, like, this amazing pro bono project for veterans and Gardner. It's an amazing thing. And it's just because one video, she put her best self out there, and the scouters for that show were like, she looks great on camera. Like, she seems like she'll crush it.
That's freaking awesome.
They're capitalizing on it. We've done, like, 6 shoots this month.
You just don't know what's going to pop off until you try a bunch of stuff, and it goes back to being consistent, right?
And you don't know when that's going to happen. And it's unfortunate. Sometimes it's, like, in the 8th month or the 14th month or the 21st month that those things pop. But, like, trust the process. Those things are coming if you put your best self out there. If you are an expert, like, put the knowledge out there. Really provide value.
Yeah, the disproportionate ones go crazy.
And if you don't have information, like, entertain people.
You gotta do something.
But that goes back to your message why you shouldn't give up.
100%. Because you don't know what the next one's going to be. Like, people, like, everybody wants to go viral, right? There's 2 ways to go viral. You pay a shit ton in ads. Like, you make, you know, in
define viral. Like, you have to define it first off, right?
Define viral. Let's say 1 million views.
Whatever.
Okay. So you could either make one video and dump, like, $50,000 into advertising it, and then you'll get 1 million views. Easy, but expensive. Or you can make 1 million videos, and then one of them could go viral. And like, it's one or the other. And obviously, usually it's somewhere in the middle of those 2 extremes where you're doing a little bit of paid and a lot of organic, and, you know, eventually one catches. But you never know. And we've had some of the silliest posts go viral. But like, the post that goes viral isn't what brings in the business. It's like all the other professional videos that you made too that back up that one trendy thing that hit. Then they go on your page and they realize, oh, you're not just like a one-hit wonder. You've actually got a portfolio.
Oh, there's a bunch of other stuff I can follow.
I will follow you now. Like, virality only gets you seen once.
Yeah, that's the difference between the Super Bowl commercial and, like, a content strategy. You could be on the Super Bowl, but if you have no website or business behind it.
Have you ever? Yeah, exactly. And we talk about that a lot.
I think one of the best examples that we have of that is when we had a post go viral for escape games, if you remember.
Yeah, I do remember, yeah.
It was a riddle post where, folks just solved the riddle. It was a very common riddle. But this post, I remember Russ and I were monitoring this post. It went from 1,000 reach, and then the next time we checked up on it, we saw the comments, the engagement was blowing up. We were like, let's just check up on the reach. We noticed that overnight it went to 500,000, and we were like, "Holy shit!
Yeah, this is crazy.
This is gonna go viral." And we thought that was it, and then the next day it's at 1.2 million. Then it's at 2 million, and then it's at 3 million, and then we were like, "Oh my god, when is this gonna stop?" And then I think the highest point that I saw it was it reached up to 10 million, I think.
Yeah, I think
in overall reach, over 1,000
night.
comments and answers on the riddle. And it's a perfect testament to what Russ just said, because now if this was just a post, it's forgotten about in seconds. The moment someone writes their answer, maybe later on they just come back, check if they got it right, but that's it. But because it was tied to a brand that was, we were releasing other organic content for, they got so much exposure from that in the local community that they actually increased business. And, for, a lot of people may not know what escape games is, look into that industry, but basically it's a game, it's a real life puzzle. So a lot of folks don't know about that. So when they see that and then they see the brand, now they're inclined to, do something like an activity with their friends throughout the weekend or whatnot. So they did see an increase in booking.
Yep, 100%. I actually have another one now that we bring that up. One of our other clients, a salon consulting company, had been posting for a long time. The great clients of ours been doing their social media for years now. And it was one post 3 years in, one random post where the owner covered a topic that we found out was a hot button topic. Video went up on TikTok. Most of their posts get average of 500, 600, 700 views on TikTok. This one gets 10,000 and 300 comments, and 400 likes. Everyone's freaking out. You don't know what you're talking about. No, this lady does know what she's talking about. She's right. She's wrong. And it's how would we have ever known that one topic out of who knows how many 75, 100 other topic videos that we've made over the course of a few years, that one
a little bit of controversy goes a long way.
But then boom,
yep,
light bulb goes off, more about that,
do more of what works.
Now we have this whole plan to make more content surrounding that one topic. That's how it's done. It's you have to be consistent, so you find that little needle in the haystack. You find it and you go, oh, that's the thing people care about.
Yep.
And we always say, more of what works, less of what doesn't. But you have to do a lot and try a lot consistently to find what works. Find that one little hot button topic. That could be your thing for the rest of your career if you hit the button the right way.
Yeah, and just repurpose it and R&D, rip off and duplicate.
That could end up being your whole narrative for the next couple of years. You find out that that's the thing.
And try other things along the way and keep trying to see if you can get two things that work, right? I have another an example. I was talking to someone yesterday, website designer. Yesterday I was talking to him, and he has a YouTube channel. And we were just talking about our YouTube channels and our kind of strategies on that. Same thing. He gets probably 100, 200 views per episode or per YouTube short or video. But one of them just took off. One of them was about why website builder platforms like Wix or WordPress or Weebly, all those things suck. And that was the caption, why you should never use website builder. Yeah. And that's obviously a hot button issue.
Because everybody has one.
And
so
they're
why?
Well, yeah, exactly. How can you say? But and he doesn't even necessarily believe that. If you watch the full video, he gives context. But just that one video went crazy.
Yeah.
And he's actually getting business every single month.
Love
and it's funny, you see all of these videos with a couple hundred views, but then if you scroll over, this one has 30,000 views and he's getting business from it. So it's goes back to that chart right there and everything you just talked about. It's you just need one thing, maybe a little bit of friction there. Say something that's make a statement, actually take a stand, have a take on something, and it kind of goes from there.
Yeah, that's good advice. It can be scary to put a line in the sand and say, this is how I feel about a certain topic. Like, doesn't matter what industry you're in. Like, a lot of people tread carefully and professionally, and they don't want to say anything.
In some industries, you have to.
Of course.
Yep.
But there's something to be said about, like, having a hot take. Like, those are the posts. Like, you know, for better or worse on social media, hot takes work.
Yeah.
So if you can find
and
a
you
way,
don't have to be a dick about it.
Right.
It's like have a take and say like, hey, tell me why I'm an idiot in the comments. Like I'm open to changing my mind, but right now this is how I feel. And be a normal person about it. Like you can change your mind. You can the other side can have good opinions, but like in your content strategy, like actually add value. Tell people what you really think. Don't be wishy-washy.
Don't just be too cookie cutter.
For sure. And I think that works.
Yeah, I think Gary Vee said it best. And, you know, one of his keynotes, he said, you know, the ROI of a basketball to him is like 0.
Yeah, I remember that.
But the ROI of a basketball to like, you know,
LeBron
Michael
James,
Jordan or LeBron James is like $1 billion. So it's like if you are putting out one video on social media and that's all you did the whole year and it didn't yield anything, it's like, don't say social media sucks.
Yeah, the social
it's like, no, social media works. It's just you suck.
yeah. So
it goes
your
back,
ROI sucks.
Yeah,
on
so it
social
goes
media.
back to and honestly, how do you get better? You know, anyone obviously LeBron James, Michael, like those are, you know,
I love that.
yeah, it's like an outlier, but it's like how does anyone get better? One, don't give up, continually improve. You know, whether it's a hot take, whether you're adding more value, just keep on releasing it. You don't know when your moment's coming. Yep. Like and referencing back to athletes, they don't know when their moment's coming, right? Yep. It's like no, you work every single day, you grind, you don't give up, you show up.
You don't see them
and
until
your
they
day
get drafted.
will come.
Yeah,
your day will come because whether you like it or not, it is the digital age. Digital media is king. It is the source of information for a majority of the world. Yeah. So if you are trying to grow your business or be found or, you know, even network or socialize, right? It's everything is on digital. So, you know, if you're just going to give up on it, then, you know, you're not going to see those.
Yeah.
Those
the only way to lose is by quitting.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
because you're always going to
That's
grow.
anything in life.
That's again why I keep circling back to like, this is the answer, because like you're going to grow a little bit every year. Like you're not going to you're not losing followers. You're gaining followers. Even if you're not viral yet, or you don't have 10,000 followers yet, I guarantee you, like you post once a week and you're going to go from 500 to like 600 over the course of a year. Like, it's working. Maybe not as crazy as you want, but like it's not working. It's just you're not famous yet.
Yeah.
You know,
Are your goals
there's
right?
a huge
What's the
difference
goals?
between like Facebook doesn't work and I'm not famous yet. It's like, well, you grew a little bit. There's 100 more people this year that follow you. That's another thing too. Like you could go all, like the value of one person is super like undervalued these days. It's like, well, I need 10,000 followers or I'm nothing. It's, I don't know. I kind of appreciate all my 750 followers because like I've probably had coffee with every one of them at some point.
When I do like a
appreciate every
speaking
Honestly,
engagement, when I get 50 people, I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah.
But when I get a post that gets 50 likes, it's like, okay.
Yep.
Definitely. Honestly, it's like the economies of scale of followers, like that's where it's actually funny these days because sometimes less, that will actually yield you more than more.
Yeah. I say this a lot, that some of our most successful clients have the least amount of followers
so you
and
can't
they
compare.
go hard on content.
Exactly.
Even if they're just posting to a small audience, they're not worried about the size of their audience. They're worried about the quality of the information they're providing to that like small group of very lucrative individuals who pass them all of their business.
Right.
There's some businesses that only need 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
You know, if you're like top of the industry and whatever it is, and like all your referral partners are within your network, that's all you really need to follow you. And if you're helping them get better, you win.
Yeah.
That's why
Like, you
creating
don't
a
need to be
persona
famous.
sheet, sticking to a strategy, adding value, being authentic, it does matter.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, again, if you're, you know, it's not just about not quitting. If you're just rolling out content for the sake of just growth, you're also probably going to hurt yourself a lot.
Yeah.
So,
The long term,
So
right?
That's what I was going
like
to say is you can go viral pretty
you
easily.
need to, you need to release out there for the sake of helping and adding value, and then the growth will come.
Yeah, you can go
the
viral
fruits of labor
for getting drunk
will
on an airplane.
I could go viral pretty easily, but I would ruin
if you're
everything.
Just, yeah. If you're like, you know, if if you want to make it to the NBA and you just take a basketball and go to your local court and just sit there.
Yeah.
Is that the title? I think that's the title
happen.
of the episode, the ROI of the basketball.
Yeah,
I love
but
that.
if you're showing up every day,
quote.
working out, grinding, it's like actually working on performance. Okay, like maybe then you're going to add value to the right team, and then you'll grow and whatnot. So yeah, it's definitely add value. But the funniest thing is also, you ever see one of the like some celebrities? They'll always like when they have a kid, they'll make the kid an Instagram.
Yeah.
Almost
Oh,
like
yeah.
a baby Instagram. And like
it's a
this
family
baby
asset.
Instagram, it's like faceless. There's no content on it, but it like grows to like, 500,000 followers overnight because it's just,
It's like a savings account.
it's like, so that's a perfect example of like the economies of scales of followers. It's like just because now that account, maybe one day that baby will grow up, maintain, the brand and good for them if they do. Right. But it's like when you relatively are comparing that, it's like, hey, would you rather have your 50 followers with like at least 10 of them that are like passing you stuff, or would you want to be like that account that's just like it's just there, like for the sake of existing, but it's not accomplishing anything. Exactly.
So yeah. I mean,
it's all relative.
So, Sahil, can you sum us up? Can you give us? Do we have any other topics, or are we good to do a recap on what we've covered so far?
I'm good.
Any other slides up there?
No,
that's it.
Again,
Right,
every slide I made came back to this.
Good.
Every one of them.
Yeah. To recap, what kind of ground we covered? We should definitely, we encourage all clients to come up with their core values, their mission statement, and make sure everything in your business tracks on that, including your marketing and your branding.
Yeah, or if you have any processes that you make your customers or your clients go through them yourselves. Maybe if you haven't, and that'll give you a whole different perspective.
And then just set attainable goals. Let's try this year to go from 1,000 followers to 2,000 followers.
Or let's try to go the whole year and provide a shitload of value to our audience and see what happens without ever looking at the follower count.
Yep. And often, almost always, those are the ones who win. Are the ones who aren't worried about the numbers. They're worried about
the love of the game.
The love of the game.
Trust the process.
They love basketball.
Trust the process. Yeah.
Be authentic, deliver value, don't give up, stay consistent. And at the end of the day, remember, it's why do you listen to anyone else that you're following? Because they're providing value, or because you're learning something. It's adding some benefit to your life. So if you can, mimic the same for whatever industry you're in and do the same for your prospective base, you will also yield the same results. Whereas if you help people, you make their lives better. It doesn't matter what the number underneath the follower category says. It's all about how many people are you helping, and they're gonna do better, and it's gonna come around. It's a circle.
Perfect. All right, well, that's a wrap. That's it for the Namra podcast. So if you have any questions, or if there's anything we can do to provide you value, or you have questions or comments and want us to talk about something and give our opinion on it, let us know. Thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, guys.